Hey, Siobhan Lindley here, CEO of Women Evolution, and we're here for another behind-the-scenes interview for my Forbes Rising Leaders column. And I want you to click the link below because if you're watching this, it means the Forbes article is live, and I want you to check it out and give me your feedback on what you think about the conversation that we're about to have today. And you can also, if there's any questions that you have from this interview or from the article that's just lingering, you can post them here. And we're going to get to it with a live Q&A session with our featured rising female leader in 72 hours after the article goes live. So I want you to put your questions here if there's anything that pops up that you want to know, and we'll get to it right away because it's curated by your questions. And so to be notified right away when we are going to be doing that, and to know the exact time so that you can tune in, make sure you like my page up above. And if you know someone, or you yourself, someone you think should be featured in this Forbes series, go ahead and click the link above called Use App, and you can go to the nomination form. And it's a super simple form, but that is the best way for you to get in contact with me to get featured. All right, so right now I'm in Del Mar, California, and I'm excited to introduce you all to Melissa Rolston, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Melissa is the co-chairwoman of Women Grow in Toronto, which aims to cultivate leaders in the cannabis industry. And she's also the president of Team MD, which is a medical education company which takes a full spectrum healthcare approach. So she's got an interesting background, an interesting industry, a fast-growing and controversial industry as well. And she is also at the ripe age of 24. But also she's been an influential component of the cannabis industry since 2013. But she's been working in the healthcare field since 2009. So thanks, Melissa, for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for asking me to join you. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, great. And so I want to know, what are some of your career highlights to date? What are some of the things that you've been up to?
So I guess some of the highlights that I've been able to experience throughout my career so far would be having the opportunities to work so closely with patients during their journey through their illness or back to health. Another thing I'm really excited about is I started a passion project about 4 years ago in product development, which just now is starting to gain quite a bit of traction with some very interesting high-level investors. So I'm hoping that has a lot of potential opportunities in the future. And I also was lucky enough to be a founder of a virtual medical clinic just at age 23, so last year. Through that, I actually learned some very valuable lessons. And that experience actually is what inspired me to start my new initiative, Team MD. And I've been so fortunate to have been a part of multiple startups in the space in various different sectors, which have all provided me with the experience and expertise to quickly adapt to, as you mentioned, this rapidly changing field. So it's been very exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Prohibition isn't fully over yet, so we're
So what drew you to this industry? Why do you have such passion for this?
Funny enough, looking back, I would have never expected to be where I am today. I was actually pursuing a different passion of mine, which was photography. I had just moved downtown Toronto, and I was hustling pretty hard. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people say Toronto is the little brother of New York.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I ended up picking up a third job as an executive assistant to this gentleman who was actually starting up a licensed producer. So a licensed producer is essentially a legal medical marijuana grow-up under the MMPR program. Okay. So, go ahead.
No, I'm good with you. Keep going.
So as we were awaiting our application, we were like, okay, we have to start raising some capital. How are we going to get some money? So we ended up starting a medical clinic. And that's when I was first introduced to speaking like one-on-one with patients on a daily basis. And then after working there for a few months, because I developed such personal connections with the patients, I was moved to a dispensary which we were somewhat affiliated with, and I started working there. So just to state for the record, this was before the dispensary boom happened in Toronto, before all these raids started happening. There were dispensaries for over 20 years. They were very quiet. The city was okay with them. And that's kind of where we fell into a role where we were filling a void for patients that weren't able to have access to some of the medicine that they needed at that present time. Now it's come a long way and things have changed quite a bit.
Just a little bit.
Tons. Like in the past 6 months even. It's ridiculous. So it was then when I started working at the dispensary that I discovered a new passion and one which fed my soul. And that's when I made the bold decision to just put down my camera and embark on this new journey in this kind of cloudy, hazy industry where you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't really know how the laws are going to change. But I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And it was through this journey of working with medical patients that is when I actually discovered that I truly needed this medicine as well. I used to consider myself a recreational user in high school. And when I chose to stop smoking weed, because that's what adults do, at age 18, I actually started to develop symptoms of PTSD. On June 24th in 2006, my virginity was actually stolen from me when I was drugged and raped by someone that I trusted. And I suffered in silence for about 8 years. And it wasn't until I stopped medicating when I started to develop all the symptoms of flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety, panic attacks, full blown. But it was through helping others that I was able to look at myself and know that I have the strength to overcome this adversity. And that's when I really started to work on myself and work on my own healing. And a lot of that really started to go full speed ahead on June 24th, 2015, when a mother of a pediatric oncology patient I had been working with for months contacted me just to let me know that their child's tumor had actually shrunk in half. And I just remember getting that phone call and just slowly hanging up the phone and standing up from my desk chair, walking over to the door, closing it quietly and sitting back and just started sobbing. And it wasn't sobbing because, oh my God, like all this happens to me. It was because I was just truly, purely so happy. Just so happy that this sweet child just became one of my saviors and completely changed the meaning of a date for me for the rest of my life. And just that they had started to make their way to their journey. They had started to make their way along their journey to health rather than their journey through their illness. And since that day, I haven't stopped. I actually quit the job, which wasn't really an environment that suited me, and dove headfirst into entrepreneurship and just haven't really looked back since.
Wow. First of all, thank you.
No problem.
Sharing that. I'm sure that was very difficult.
It was.
To share.
It was a lot of years, but you know what? Looking back, I wouldn't be who I am today without it. So a part of me, like I'm never going to be thankful for going through something like that, but I'm thankful of where I've come and where I am now and where I'm going in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're in a very, fast growing, can be controversial industry at times.
Yeah.
And you're in a country where there's lots of different kinds of roles than in the United States as well. And so I know that there's lots of things that you have to overcome, but you also are a young professional rising female. And I can imagine that regardless of the industry, regardless of all of those other external factors, that it could be hard for people to immediately take you seriously, maybe because of your age. That's just something that comes up for me. Is that, do you find it hard for people to take you seriously?
You know what? It it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And actually, one time, about a month ago, actually, I was sitting in a meeting, and the person I was in a meeting with literally said to me, "Aren't you a little young to be doing what you're doing?" And I just politely smiled and said, "Yeah, I am young. However, I've been very fortunate to have incredible role models and mentors as well, and I'm just a sponge. Anything I learn, I completely absorb all that knowledge and I put it into practical execution. And that's just what I do. And I didn't really know what else to say except for smile politely when that happened, but definitely happens.
Do you think earlier on in your first few years that maybe it cost you any deals or opportunities that they said, you know what, she probably doesn't have the experience that we need?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely happened. And, but it doesn't really faze me at all. I just know that that wasn't the right door at that moment.
Now, obviously, you're extremely successful at what you do, but I'm curious if there are strategies that you've implemented that have really helped you overcome maybe this challenge or this ageism moving forward. So that way, you just kind of are able to get past it. Have you implemented anything that's really worked?
Yeah, actually. So you can't really tell how tall I am, but I'm actually a very tiny person. I'm about 5'1",
Oh, what?
128 pounds, and my face, it doesn't really look so much through the webcam, but when you see me in person, I totally have a baby. Have my first meeting as a phone meeting. And that way, they're able to not focus on what I look like or how tall I am. They're just hearing my voice and what I'm trying to communicate with them. When I have to attend a meeting, I always make sure a member of my team is with me. And that way, but if they're not able to attend, then the person that I'm meeting with is connected to a member of my team through email so that they're fully aware that I have an amazing team standing behind me, regardless of my age. And to be honest, since implementing those 3 core things, I've noticed a huge improvement in the way that my meetings have developed, the way that they've started, and just how quickly I've been able to turn around deals.
Wow. When I think back to when I was growing my financial planning practice, those were strategies that I was taught to do from, you always had a mentor on your appointment. You always talked to them and qualified them over the phone. They had no idea going into that this 21-year-old girl didn't even barely know what a mutual fund was 6 months ago. But no, I think it's really important. And I never really thought about it as a strategy to overcome that and to position yourself as, look, I may not have all these years of experience, but I definitely have a team and a support system behind me that does. And so if I don't have the answer, or if I'm not the right person, I have that within my infrastructure.
Within your fingertips, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great strategy that I think a lot of people could implement within their career.
100%. I fully recommend that. If anyone wants to steal that strategy, please, by all means.
So, but when you're just starting out, though, and let's say, so I plugged into a company that had already the infrastructure and had mentors, so I didn't have to go look for that or find it. But maybe there are individuals out there that are entrepreneurs or are in a very small office or whatever it may be. What suggestions do you have for people who are in these early stages? How can they get this level of credibility and that, these partnerships or experts on your team to help, to say that they're part of your company or resources?
Yeah. You know what? Always be unapologetically you. Always. Never be afraid to introduce yourself to any and anyone, because you never know who's going to be in whose network. And to be honest, most experts, especially those attending a conference or some sort of industry event, really appreciate just a moment of genuine synergy. So don't talk to them about the industry. Don't talk to them about their field of focus, their focus of study. Just wait until they ask you a question. And they'll really appreciate the breath of fresh air, and you'll stay in their mind before you impress them with your thoughts and your ideas. A huge step for me as well in just being able to bring on more experts was when a good friend of mine, Antoinette Gomez, who is the chairwoman for the Toronto chapter of Women Grow, asked me to come on board as her co-chair. So being associated with such a largely respected brand has really helped excel my career. Plus, we're having a blast planning all of our signature networking events. And if you're ever in Toronto, you have to come check one out because it's all about women empowerment, bridging the gap in gender equality, as well as putting diversity at the forefront. So making sure not just women are involved, but women of color and even men of color and all these things. All these people deserve leadership roles in this space if we're going to move forward and evolve as a society.
So Women Grow, so plugging into a networking organization has just been really important to you. And I mean, I didn't even know that Women Grow existed until, connecting with you. And then I go to look at it and I'm like, this is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, to have such resources and collaboration and being able to network with peers. I mean, just what an incredible opportunity.
Exactly. And to be the only Canadian chapter right now, it really kind of puts the spotlight on us in Toronto, and it allows us to expand our network into the States and say, you know what? Legalization is going to be announced in 2018. We have 18 months from now. What are they doing over there? Who's doing what? Do we have similar businesses? Are there synergies? Can we maybe co-brand? Can we bring brands from America to Canada? Like, there's so many opportunities with it. And I'm just very fortunate to be asked to join it.
So for other people, have organizations, trade organizations, or in their area locally, or even if not, look at branches around, just basically doing a simple Google search would can help you find like-minded people in a similar industry where you can plug in. And then have you had people from them join you on meetings if needed?
Oh yeah, of course. One of our first events actually is a panel of corporate female lawyers. So they're going to be speaking about the parallels in the cannabis space as well as corporate law, where, being a female in a male-dominated industry, like, how do you strive to be a leader? How do you overcome some of those obstacles, especially in the boardroom, when dealing with a lot of these masculine energies? And it's really exciting. We're super pumped to be able to introduce our Toronto community to some of these higher Bay Street networks and just really help the industry grow as a whole, especially for craft cannabis companies. That's what we really want to help out with.
So how is what you do different from other professionals in the medical cannabis industry?
So I work a lot more heavily on the medical education space. So with my own company, and I believe that most professionals who are working in the medical cannabis space are all striving for the same goal, which is enhancing patient lives. And I think that more specifically, Team MD aims to bridge the gap between holistic medicine and conventional medicine, which is in turn providing our patients with a full spectrum healthcare approach. And even with Women Grow, there's a few other networking, like professional networking companies out there. But I believe because we're women forward and we just kind of want to lay everything on the table and plan really great events and really great spaces with amazing catering, and it's all about the experience, we tend to bring out some people that wouldn't necessarily want to attend these events. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty excited to see how this year rolls out.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for you. So is there any other advice while you wrap up here that you'd like to give to other emerging leaders that can help them grow in their career? I mean, obviously you said some other amazing things around, you know, how to position yourself as an expert or as a thought leader in the space. But what else?
What I would have to say is never dwell. Never dwell. Keep moving forward every single day. Never stop. If you lose a deal, who cares? Because there's always another one around the corner. Failure provides space for growth, and growth is a key to success. The momentum of your business relies on your execution. So never stop executing. Never stop being a solution seeker. If you're ever faced with a problem, don't look at the problem. Just say, well, where's a creative solution around this? What do I need to do to overcome this obstacle? And once you kind of change your mindset that way, you'll notice that things just keep rolling, and the universe may provide you with more and more opportunities. But if you're not willing to grab that opportunity and know and be prepared for it, then you're just, I don't know how you can be successful.
It's so easy sometimes to just get so upset around losing deals because you put your hard work into it.
Yeah.
And it can get you down and keep you from wanting to move forward. But it's such a critical, being able to overcome those objections and that level of rejection, and it's not personal. 99% of the time it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, but it's really, for longevity and sustainability, you have to be able to develop that capacity. So I 100% agree.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to lie. I've definitely spent days where I've laid in bed for an hour and cried, but it's like, you're human. I'm human. You're human. You have to express those emotions. And that's how you just keep steamrolling forward and just, you know, just let passion drive you. It's all I can really say.
Well, you've just watched the behind the scenes interview for my Forbes Rising Leaders column with Melissa Rolston. She is the chairwoman of Women Grow in Toronto. She's also the president of Team MD. So click the link below to watch and read the official Forbes article featuring Melissa, and let me know what questions you have for her, what's come up for you that you'd like to know, and you can put them directly on here, and we'll get to them 72 hours after the article goes live with a live Q&A that we'll be doing with her. And so post your questions here, we'll get to them, and if you make sure and like my page so you can stay up to date on when these interviews are going to take place, to possibly get featured, you can apply above, and that's it. Thanks so much. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate your time today. It's been great. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right.